Mental asylum workers. Who's the most memorable patient you've ever worked with? I started working night shifts at Pine Ridge Hospital in Maine when I was 22. Old building, creaky floors, smelled like disinfectant mixed with sadness. My first week, every nurse pulled me aside to warn me about Mrs. Dorothy. Not because she was violent or anything, actually the opposite. She was quiet, polite, made her bed perfect every morning, never raised her voice, never caused problems. But every single day, like clockwork, she'd ask staff if we'd seen her husband Roy. She'd describe him the same way each time. Kind man with thick glasses and a limp from his army days. Said he worked as an electrician and brought her sunflower seeds every Wednesday. Thing is, according to her file, she was never married. No emergency contact listed. No relatives. Nobody had visited her in 10 years of being there. The other nurses just told her they hadn't seen him and moved on. But something about the way she talked about Roy felt different. Too detailed. Too real. I got curious during my break one night and started digging through old records. Asked her what Roy looked like, expecting some vague description. Instead, she reaches into her nightstand and pulls out this wrinkled photo. Shows me a younger version of herself standing next to some guy I swear I recognized. My blood went cold when I realized why. That man was Thomas Wright, a former patient from years back, not her husband. He'd been here for schizophrenia and died in the building during a fire in 1998. I checked his file twice to make sure. Here's the weird part though. Mrs. Dorothy wasn't allowed contact with other patients back then because of her severe episodes. She was kept isolated on a different floor. So how did she have a photo with him? How did she even know what he looked like? Next night, I worked up the courage to ask her. She got this peaceful look on her face and said, Roy visited her every day during her bad times. Said she reminded him of someone he loved. He'd sneak up to her floor when the nurses weren't looking and just sit with her. Made her feel less alone. She told me he protected her from the other patients who scared her. That he promised to take her away from this place someday. They'd get a little house with a garden where she could grow sunflowers. I went back to the records one more time. During that fire in 1998, Mrs. Dorothy had been locked in a room on the 3rd floor. Smoke was filling the hallways. Exit doors were blocked. According to the incident report, it was Thomas who broke down her door and carried her outside before the roof collapsed. He died from smoke inhalation 20 minutes later. The report said his last words were asking if Dorothy was okay. No one ever told her he didn't make it. They thought it would be too traumatic. For 10 years, she'd been asking about her Roy, not knowing he died saving her life, not knowing he was never coming back with those Wednesday sunflowers. I never corrected her after that night. When she'd ask if I'd seen Roy, I'd just say he must be running late, but I'm sure he'll be by soon. Her face would light up like Christmas morning. She passed away 3 months later in her sleep. Natural causes, peaceful. The nurses found that photo clutched in her hand. On the back, someone had written Roy and Dorothy forever in faded pencil. That's when I learned sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people keep their beautiful lies.